Hey everyone, welcome to Live Trading Thursday. My name is David Verbruggen. I'm going to be your host today. I am glad to be with you today. It's been an interesting week in the market, so we're going to take a look at that, and we're going to dive through several different ways that we can still find some good trades in the market. So I'm excited to work through that with you. But you know what? You guys always amaze me. You guys always bring up some really nice tickers and just potential trades that we can look at as well. So go ahead and throw those in the comment box. Any trades that you want to look at, trades that you're in right now, even historical trades, if you want to just analyze those together, we can do that. Throw those in the comment box. Both YouTube and Facebook should have that availability for you to go ahead and send those to me. Keep in mind that all the examples that we're going to look at in this live trading session should be viewed for education purposes only and not taken as trading or investment advice. Now, guys, keep in mind, we only have a short time together, so get those in early. I oftentimes see that, some tickers or trades questions come in at the very end, right when we're about to end. But, the best time is just throw them in now. That way we can go ahead and make sure we get to them. All right, I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to go ahead and take a look and see what's been going on in the overall market. You can see we've been dropping off here, right? This last week has definitely been bearish. We come all the way back here. You got this, that's the bear market right here. Moved up, bounced down off the 200. Actually had several times that we approached this downtrending resistance line. Finally did break it. Wasn't nice and bullish for a while. Went a little bit sideways, came back to this uptrending support line and failed. See that? We failed there. We failed at the this horizontal line as well. Tuesday was a pretty rough day in the market, so really dropped off there. Yesterday down a little bit more. Today opened up a little bit higher and then bounced down. Now look at where we opened up. I just realized this. That's right at the 5 EMA. So are we in a position now where we might just get pushed down by the 5 EMA? That could be rough. But look at this. What needs to change on my chart here? Like, what do I need to update? It's probably going to be this line, right? It looks like a good line here. Let's pull that all the way over and look at that, guys. That is beautiful. Check that out right there. So now we're kind of at this decision point, right? Now we've got 1, 2, potentially, well, I mean, that is a touch there, but I mean, is it a bounce? It's not a bounce yet. So if we bounce off of this uptrending, potential uptrending support line, we could be looking at some short-term bullish trades again, cautiously, might I add. Which, side note, real quick, remember how I've been saying the last couple of weeks, like, you can trade bullishly, just be cautious, right? Reduce your position size. It's because of things like this. It's a pretty big drop off right here. And we don't know that it's done yet. We haven't really had a bounce yet off of this support line. So if we don't bounce and we continue down, how far are we going to go down? I mean, we could be looking at 3,800 in just a matter of by the end of next week, potentially, right? That could be pretty crazy. So this is why I say cautiously. But okay, are we wanting to get bullish? I would want to see this thing really bounce before we get bullish. Are we wanting to get bearish? I'm going to want to see this thing break the support line. Maybe break the support line and then have a pullback. Because if it just drops off at, what you're going to want to have a pullback to be able to get a good buy point for bearish trades that might come up. So those are some things that we're looking at right now and considering in here. But guys, go ahead and get those questions in, those comments in, all the tickers that you want to look at. So go ahead and put those in right now. I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything that I was supposed to bring in here. Let's look back at December. See, you have this nice bullish run, and then also a scary looking drop off in December right here, and we approached this line, and that line held, and then we went on another bullish run. So that could happen again here, right? You got this drop off. We might just kind of ride the line a little bit before we start moving up again. So just things to keep in mind. All the more reason why we need to wait for the bounce. So I think I've said it enough now. Wait for the bounce. Okay. All right. But what if we want to trade now? Like, what are some things out there right now that we could trade? Right? I mean, I just said, it's tough to get in bullish right now because we want to wait for the bounce. It's tough to get bearish right now because we want to wait for support to be broken. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? So one of the things I like to do when the market's just not playing very nice right now, or if it's just not ready yet, there are still trades out there, still takers out there that are kind of just doing their own thing, right? They're just off in their own world, making pretty patterns, some of them. How do we find those guys? Let's go ahead and let's do something here. Let's come up here to the market page, and I want to look at the industry chart. Now, we used to look at this a lot, almost every week, right? Back when we were doing Stock Talk Thursday, we looked at this almost every week. We haven't looked at it as much recently, but I think today is very applicable. You can see we're looking at the S&P 500 and just the last week, right? You can see that almost every single industry or sector is down, right? They're down quite a bit. Some of them 3 or 4%, except for one. Which one is that? It's consumer defensive here, right? Well, now that makes sense. Consumer defensive is sitting right around break even right now. Consumer defensive is going to be, those companies that are still going to do well in a bear market. The last week we've been bearish, right? Consumer defensive has held its own. They're going to do well in a bear market because there are things like grocery stores and other consumable items that people are going to need regardless of what the economy is doing. People still got to eat, right? So what are some stocks that might look good in consumer defensive? Let's take a look at the heat map. I'm going to make this bigger by hitting the Go Big button right here. I'm going to reset the filters. Consumer defensive, and I want to make sure, yep, okay, I still have a week set. Click on consumer defensive. We're going to make that bigger. See, there's a lot less red. There's still some, but there's a lot less red than a lot of the other sectors had. And there's actually some green in here as well. You got General Mills. General Mills is doing quite well. Let's take a look at them. Let's open them up here. General Mills, look at that. Okay. This pattern right here, that's a pattern I recognize, but it's not one of our mainstream ones that we teach in our steps 1 through 4. So depending on how General Mills closes today, that could be setting up for a specific type of trade. It's not there yet, but here we have a stock that, honestly, what did the market do? The market went down quite a bit last week, or this last week. And General Mills is up quite a bit. So they're doing quite the opposite. So that's, one of the ways we can do it. We could go back to that heat map and look at things again and just keep finding ticker after ticker and just trying them out. But I wanted to show you one other way that I found that we can look more closely at things. Maybe a better way to filter for them. We already know that consumer defensive is going to be pretty solid as far as the sector right now. So what about if we use some of the watch lists that we have, some of the David Mitchell watch lists, and we just filter them out for the specific sector? Let's go ahead and do that. This will be fun. So I'm going to come up here to the watch tab, and here's all the watch lists I have. I got some personal ones in here, but here are the system ones. This is what I want you to look at. We got David Mitchell stocks, options, spreads, covered calls, right? We're going to go ahead and just we'll click options right now. That's going to pull this up. And with this new thing in here that IVES has created where we can filter or have specific categories that we want, we can actually customize the watch list for all the categories that we want. That's pretty cool, right? And so I went ahead and created one myself with all these categories that I want to look at. It's kind of a combination of different things, but I want to see the sector, the industry group. I want to get some basic information on technicals, like what is the dollar change and percentage change in the last 30 days, 90 days, 6 months. I want to get some other information, including the liquidity of the options. That's a very important one to me. Because if it shows up like 0 here, probably not going to be able to do much in the way of trading options on PFGC, right? But you look at Oxy, okay, I don't know what the chart's doing right now. It might be ugly. Actually, probably is if you look at all the red here. But I know that the options are liquid. So anyways, all that aside, consumer defensive is what we're looking for. So I can actually go ahead and sort this via the sector, sorted by the sector, and I can scroll through. There's basic materials, one on communication, consumer cyclical, consumer defensive. Here we go. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stocks in the consumer defensive sector that are on the David Mitchell watch list for options. What about for stocks? Let's just take a look. I'm curious now. I didn't look at this earlier. Sector, consumer defensive, we've got a couple of them in the stocks list for spreads. Got a couple of them for spreads. I know the cover calls list is smaller. I'm not sure if we would have any there. Nope, not in that one. So the options, we're gonna stick with that one for today. It's just got the most tickers for consumer defensive, and I just want to look at these 6. Right? How do I pull those guys over to look at the chart? Let's go ahead, select our checkbox button, and I'm just gonna check these 6 guys right here. There we go. Now that I've got them selected, I want to hit this little beaker button that's going to send the selected tickers to research. And that research tab within that, that's really going to be our chart. So here we go. You can see all the recent tickers we looked at. We started off with the chart. We looked at General Mills real quick. And then I've got my 6 right here. And what's the first thing we're seeing? PFGC. Now, I think this wasn't this one that had bad liquidity on options? I could be wrong on that. Yeah. So bad liquidity on options. So that's just something to keep in mind there. It can get better. You can see the volumes okay, but not awesome. But look at the chart here. The chart's not doing anything like the overall market where it just tanked right now. It's not great. It's sideways. It's moving sideways. So what could you do with that? Maybe if you get a bounce off of here, maybe you could do a bull put spread, structure a bull put spread down below. Let's take a look at some of the other charts, right? I mean, this one's okay. It's not great. Let's see what else we can find. BJ. All right. So BJ's been moving up lately. Today's having kind of a rough day on it, but the day's not over. We could throw a line on here. See where things are. It might be wanting to pull back to that line. So this could be one to keep an eye on, but you can see it doesn't look like what the overall market's doing. So it's holding its own there. ADM. All right, this is kind of an interesting one. It was getting killed in the last week. It looks like it's starting to kind of roll out potentially. Too early to tell if it's going to go do that right now. But this would be one that I'd kind of keep an eye on, because let's grab some lines. You can see, it's a very rounded move right here. So it's going to be hard to get a solid line on there. I'm going to get rid of that line, but you can tell like it's kind of turning around, right? There, that's a line. That's a better line right there. Let's just drop a quick horizontal line on there. Support back in here, support here. So we're coming right up on that line. If it starts to move up and start to make higher highs, higher lows, that could be one to look at. CALM. All right, here we go. This guy has moved up quite a bit and starting to pull back, right? Now, would I want to buy it at the top of this green candle? No, right? Because we're anticipating it probably will pull back, right? It would kind of need to pull back. So I want to watch this thing. Maybe if it can pull back and bounce off the 10 EMA or the 5 EMA, there's an opportunity there, right? There could be. Just kind of have to watch that and see. But this is probably the best option so far. BG, okay. So BG straight sideways. There's a number of different trade setups that you can do with that. There's quite a bit you can do with a stock that's just going straight sideways. It is straight sideways. It kind of looks like it might have a little bit of a pennant wedge to it. So, you may want to wait on this and see how that plays out there. Let's look at Costco real quick. All right, Costco, let's get rid of this line. That one doesn't seem to be doing anything right now. Down today, and it looks like this overall bigger downtrend line is holding right now. Got some support right there. So kind of a roll slash slightly descending wedge happening here as well. Let's throw this line on here. That line could make sense. There we go. So if we get a bounce off that, that would be a good buy point, except for we've got earnings coming up in just a couple, or about 1 week. So we might want to wait for earnings to finish up before we see what's happening with Costco. So, you know, some of those tickers that we looked at, some of those could be promising soonish. Some of those tickers, you know, not looking that great right now. You know, I was hoping that we'd get a little bit better action in there. You know, we could real quick, running out of time here, but we could real quick just see if there was anything in stock. So let's grab these two. I'd really love to find a pretty one right now, but you know what? If we don't, that's how it is, right? We can't force it. We're not gonna go force it. We'd just be wrong if we tried to go force it. But all right, well, there's a prettier one, right? LRN. No one told LRN that the market's been rough this last week. That's looking pretty nice. You know, maybe if it can come back to this line and bounce up, that could be good. SMPL, okay. Hey, maybe we should have started with the stocks list, right? Look at that. Whoops, that didn't take. There we go. So there's some better options there. So you can, I just wanted to show you this so that you knew that there were ways that you can still find pretty patterns out there that are not doing what the overall market's doing when the overall market is just difficult, right? It can be difficult sometimes. So I just want to give you some of those options so that you can take a look at that. And like I said before, you're going to have those days where you go through everything and you're looking at things and you know what? There's just nothing that's working today. And at that point, all that means is, all right, pack it up. We're done for today. You don't have to trade every day. You probably shouldn't trade every day, right? So last thing you want to do is force a trade, have it be a bad trade, and now you're mad at yourself because you forced a trade. And you get into this whole psychological kind of downturn. We definitely want to avoid that. So anyway, thanks for being on today, guys. I want to, let's see, I think I have it already saved in here. There we go. I want to drop this link in here. I'm actually helping lead a topical webinar on Tuesday next week. It is going to be on Charts by TRADEway's journal entry platform. So it's going to be this guy right in here, right? And we're going to do a deep dive into the journal entry. And I'll just leave that up actually. I'm going to do a deep dive into the journal entry and show you exactly how to use it, what the best way is to use it, because it is so important, guys. Journaling our trades is simply just logging them, right? It's simply logging them so you can see what is working and what isn't working, all right? That's really important because if you can do more of what is working and less of what isn't working, you can really turn things around. I'm going to be real frank with you guys. The success of you as a trader is going to be dependent on journaling. Okay. Now I hated that when I heard that first, right? Because like journaling, I don't want to grab a pen and a paper or notepad and like write down my feelings. That's just not me. That's just not how I'm wired. I don't like that. It doesn't have to be that. You can type in your feelings in there if you want. How do you feel about this trade? But it's more about what you're just seeing on here. It's just a list of all your trades, and you can see to the right what is working and what isn't working, right? So, and the more trades you throw in there, you can get some better information. Now, this is a free webinar that we're doing next week, Tuesday. All right. And so there's the link in there. So I highly encourage you to join that, because the journal function, the journal feature in Charts by TRADEway is one of the most powerful features in the platform. It really is. So I hope you guys attend that and join, or if not, at least get the recording on it so that you can watch that, because you're going to definitely want to make good use of the journal entry so it can help you as a trader. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you so much for being on today. Marty, Ralph, thanks for being on. Really appreciate it. We're going to see you guys on Tuesday, right, for the topical webinar. And then I think someone else is actually going to be doing live training Thursday with you next week, because I'll be flying out. So thanks for being on today. Tina, I see you there. Appreciate it. And we'll see you guys next week. Bye.